I call on Professor Adrian Little, Pro-Vice-Chancellor International, to introduce Associate Professor Parshia Lee-Stecum, who has kindly agreed to deliver the occasional address.
Today, the University welcomes Associate Professor Parshia Lee-Stecum as guest speaker. Parshia is coming to the end of a long and very successful term of office as Associate Dean, Teaching and Learning in the Faculty of Arts. He studied at the Universities of Tasmania and Cambridge and worked for 3 years at Trinity College Dublin before joining the University of Melbourne in 1998. Parshia's main research and teaching interests include Roman poetry of the Augustan period, especially Roman elegy, Roman myth and ethnicity, and magic in the Roman world. Parshia is the Programme Director of the Bachelor of Arts and has wide experience in both public engagement and digital learning in classics education. Please join me in welcoming Associate Professor Parshia Lee-Stecum.
Acting Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, members of the faculty, graduands, guests, members of the University of Melbourne community. The graduation address, as a genre, brings with it one very significant challenge. You've all heard it before, or versions of it. Thoughtful anticipation and advice about what you will go on to do, or sometimes what you should go on to do. In the Western tradition from which universities such as ours developed, there's a long history of advice to those graduating into a new phase of their lives. In my own area of studies, ancient Rome, one of the earliest examples on record is a collection of advice written in the 2nd century BCE by Cato the Elder, a very prominent aristocrat whose stern certainty made him somewhat of a legend, even in his own day. Cato addressed this work to his son, Marcus. Presumably, the advice was written to accompany Marcus's own graduation as he assumed the toga virilis, the toga of manhood, and set out on his own career. Unfortunately, the only section of Cato's work that now survives is a rather paranoid and xenophobic rant about how all doctors were conspiring to kill him and how Marcus would be better off avoiding modern medicine entirely. But the content of the rest of the work is easy enough to guess from Cato's other statements and the general culture of his class and gender at the time. Be truthful, adhere to your values, respect your parents and elders. Actually, that last one is very important. It's increasingly important with every passing year, and you should pay attention to that. Respect your parents and elders. Now, we'll never know how Marcus responded, patiently perhaps, silently waiting for it to be over so he could get on to much more exciting things. But that's the tradition. Now, it's not for me or anyone else here to tell you what you are going to do, let alone what you should do. You've all demonstrated the capacity to work that out for yourselves. That's part of what brought you here. What I can do is speak to how I feel about you. And today, I am going to flatter myself that I speak for the whole faculty and university in sharing these feelings. Reflecting on what is now, for me, 21 years of working and caring for the academic programs, the teachers and the students of arts at this university, I realise there's only really one very simple, very obvious thing I want to say to you today. You've heard this before too, of course, probably even several times today, to the point that it risks becoming hackneyed from the saying, no matter how sincere and deeply felt. But it's still something I don't think we as a university community do or can say enough to our wonderful students, graduates and alumni. We are proud of you. Proud not just of what you're going on to do or be, although we do look with excitement to the days ahead, of course, but proud of what you've already demonstrated. And I say we are proud because I think that on a day such as this, which is quite properly structured by a sense of the institution, of the university, it's more than just a case of the university being proud of your achievements. It's something more personal. During a tough time in my own life years ago, someone I very much respect, whom I know as a mentor, said something that I've come back to many times since. Institutions don't and can't show loyalty or support. People show loyalty. People show support. People show pride. We all have our communities, typically several. Those that fostered us, those who have taken us in on the journey, those we will find in the future. At our best, as another old cliche goes, these communities don't divide, they multiply, and we find strength in the interweave. I hope that the people of your university community, as anchors in your memory, have added and will continue to add to your strength, and in particular, to your confidence in yourself. There are many outcomes, many attributes, many capabilities that we design our educational programs to provide, and towards which we teach and learn. Likewise, there's an ever-increasing range of indicators by which we evaluate success or otherwise in our learning endeavours. But if I had to choose just one contribution, one outcome that I hope your studies and your success in your studies has brought you, it would be confidence. And by this I mean that very particular confidence that an arts education can foster. A confidence that is not unquestioning arrogance, but draws from a capacity to reflect critically and honestly upon yourself and upon the world around you. But now I am starting to sound like Cato the Elder, and you've all been so very patient. Simply then, to you and to all the students I have had the joy to teach and to learn from, I wish you success, I wish you peace, and I wish you confidence. And most of all, I wish you to know that we are proud of you.
On your behalf, ladies and gentlemen, I thank Associate Professor Lee-Stecum for addressing us this morning.